In this lesson, we're going to have a look at rates, which, as you can see here, are just comparisons between two different quantities of two different kinds, so that it actually works out to be very much like a fraction, as you'll see. But let's have a look and see how rates work. It says that, as an example, if we compare the distance that a person travels with the amount of petrol that they used, we have a rate, or the amount of fertilizer needed with the area of land. So it might be so many kilograms of fertilizer for so many hectares of land. And another one is the amount of pay that you get with the time work. So, for example, $12.50 per hour. So the comparison between quantities is made by dividing one quantity by the other. And it looks a little bit like this. Here's one quantity. Here's the other quantity, and you can see it looks just like a fraction. So you've got to do them, though, in the right order to get this right. And we write it the first quantity per unit of the second quantity. Now, this will be a lot easier to understand as we do a few examples. Here's the first example that we've got. A 1.5 kilogram packet of soap powder costs $6.90. What is the cost per kilogram? Well, let's have a look at this. First of all, this rate is comparing cost with weight. So we'll just write this down, that we compare cost with weight. So that's the first thing we're going to do, and it's got to be in that order. So we say, therefore, that the rate that we're looking for is our cost, $6.90, and we divide it by our weight, in this case 1.5 kilograms. So that's actually $6.90 per 1.5 kilograms. So when we divide the 1.5 into the $6.90, we end up with $4.60 for every 1 kilogram. So we write down per kilogram. So remember to write the units down whenever you do this. It's very important. Dollars and kilograms have got to be in there. So this is the cost per unit of weight. And the unit of weight, remember, unit is 1 unit of weight per kilogram. So our second example looks at Wendy typing 600 words in 8 minutes. So what are we comparing here? We're comparing words and time in that order. So we're going to divide the rate, or the rate will be the words, 600 of those words, so we divide by 8 minutes. 600 words per 8 minutes. So we get our calculators out and we go 600 divided by 8, and that will give us words. I'll just put this in bracket, whatever that one is, words per minute. So we're getting very close to our answer, and the final step is to write that out. So it's 75 words per minute. Notice we've got our unit again, unit 1 minute. So that's the number of words per minute. Let's I'll just take this up a little bit so we've got some more room. We'll move that down. All right, let's have a look at C. A car uses 49 litres of petrol on a trip of 500 kilometres. And the first thing we're asked to do is to calculate the number of kilometres the car travels per litre of petrol consumed. And it's got to be done in that order. So we're going to have a look at the rate for this particular situation as being 500 kilometres, the distance he travels. Whoops, better get rid of that. 500 kilometres, and we do that for every, if you like, or per 49 litres. So dividing this out, we get 500. Remember, we want to do it per litre, so we need to divide it by 49. And that will give us our kilometres per litre. So in this case, our answer is 10.2 kilometres per litre. You can check this with your calculator, and we better just write down that we've rounded this to 1 decimal place. And the second thing we needed to do was to calculate the number of litres of petrol a car consumes per kilometre of travel. So we're going to do this the other way. So the rate in this case, because it's the order is the number of litres of petrol. So we're going to go 49 litres, and we're saying that it's done for 500 kilometres. So our answer for this rate would be 49 divided by 500, and that will be in litres per kilometre. So this amount of petrol, this is the amount of petrol consumed per unit of distance travelled per kilometre. So the car in this case uses 0.098 litres per kilometre. Now, because in practice this second rate here is often very small, I mean that means very little, 0.098 litres per kilometre, petrol consumption is usually quoted as the amount of petrol used per 100 kilometres, not per 1 kilometre. So what we're going to do then is to change this to a more practical reading. So our rate in this case is going to be 49, and it's divided by 5. That's going to be our litres. Now the reason why we're going to divide that by 5 is because at the bottom we're going to change our 500 to 100 by dividing by 5 kilometres. So because we divided this by 5 to get it per 100 kilometres, we need to divide the top as well, because that's the way you do it with fractions, as you know. Whatever you do to the bottom, you need to do to the top. So when you work this out, our answer is 9.8 litres per 100 kilometres. All right, so there's an example of our rates and how to calculate those.